Are you saying that like Britain is fundamentally less free?
Yes.
I fear that I might be underdressed today because we're off to visit the National Rifle Association. Yeah.
It's very London today, very Edinburgh actually. It's pretty chilly. 17 or 18 degrees probably, maybe even colder. The whole trip is ready and we're going off to the NRA. I think we've got other things on. That truck, by the way. We've got a few other things on first, but the big headline today is we're meeting the NRA. That will be a very interesting discussion. Downtown Washington, and you can tell it's not a holiday anymore. Obviously yesterday was a national holiday and everybody was celebrating Memorial Day apparently on the beach, but today everybody's back to work. Rush hour here in Washington.
Okay, so this is called NRA TV. It's the NRA's attempt to get its message out there unfiltered by the mainstream media. So we have our own TV, we have news anchors, we have commentators.
NRA headquarters. Polar bear.
There you go.
Department has their own set of qualifications.
Hi, I'm Shaun. Nice meeting you.
Cameras are fine, just no flash. Run out of ammo? Hot knuckle duster. This is about 1900, yes.
You wouldn't fire in the vacuum.
So my name is Catherine Mortensen and I'm an NRA spokesperson.
Can you, in your own words, explain to me what the NRA does from like your perspective?
Sure. So the NRA's mission is primarily to teach firearms safety, education, training, but secondarily, and something that our members are asking more and more of us, is to protect their Second Amendment rights. I think that's what we're more known for around the world.
Yeah.
And so we are the nation's oldest civil rights organization. Our mission is to protect the Second Amendment.
How do you feel about other nations that have decided to, in the face of similar tragedies that the US unfortunately regularly experiences, the fact that we have more restrictions on guns than you guys? Do you think that we're at a loss because of that?
Well, we've seen in America that more gun laws does not necessarily mean fewer crime, because we know that criminals don't obey the laws. What happens in this country is we pass more gun laws and it just makes it harder for law-abiding citizens to protect and defend themselves. I think the UK's history, the historical experience is very different, so I don't know that it would necessarily translate. But in America, we view the firearm as essential to our freedom as people. We would still be part of the royal crown. We would still be part of the British crown if we didn't have the firearm to defend ourselves and to gain our freedom.
So, are you saying that like Britain is fundamentally less free because of that? It's so interesting. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
This has been blooming fascinating. And your patience with us has been brilliant. Thank you so much.
Where do you see the future for gun laws, the NRA, in the next 10 years?
Well, we're really happy to have Donald Trump in the office because he's been a big supporter of the Second Amendment, and we think that we're gonna. We have two big bills, right?
What did you think of Bernie, actually? Because he has a very good record in terms of like gun rights, right?
But don't
You're
tell,
smiling.
I was gonna say, but don't tell his supporters that. Okay,
so much.
Thanks.
Cheers.
See
Bye,
ya.
guys. Enjoy
Bye.
your trip in America.
Thank you. Cheers. Do you think the UK is less free? And there's a stone face,
Yeah.
That's like for us.
He
It's like,
thinks the UK is less free than America.
that's crazy.
Which is just, I was just like, wow, okay,
Yeah.
brilliant.
The NRA seem to use the word crazies as an official capacity. The crazies. The crazies. So someone within the NRA called them the crazies. Jazza did an awesome interview
Cannibalistic
with
language.
Catherine.
She is on
What's
camera,
her
but she can
title?
say using that language.
Catherine from the NRA.
There are a bunch of crazies who just got
You need to go and watch it.
referring to mental health.
It's very good. Also, like, comment, and subscribe.
Wow, the NRA. I must admit a few things, right? It was really, really good of the NRA to give us their time and to invite us in and answer all of our questions today. They did not have to do that. They only deal with constituents inside the USA. They have no interest as an organisation in people from other countries around the world. So they really didn't have to invite us in and talk to us. They very rarely take questions from journalists from outside the US. So that was good of them. Coming here to America, gun culture, gun violence, gun crime, and gun laws have always been a curiosity for me. Obviously in the UK, we are very different with our attitude towards guns. I think we raised some very valid points in our questions, and a number of them the NRA were simply not able to answer. For example, the killings of black people by police who were legal gun owners, and the NRA's lack of response to those people. Another issue which we raised, which they did not answer, was the fact that the UK and other countries around the world that have banned or heavily controlled the use of guns, the use and sale of guns, have experienced a sharp decline in the number of violent deaths, obviously first of all caused by guns, whereas America has one of the highest gun murder rate in the world. Running alongside that is the parallel of the fact that people are able to carry a gun here in America. They were unable to answer that, and in fact they actually deflected that question. So it's interesting. I also found it fascinating how they are so steadfast in their way of thinking. You know, they genuinely believe that in the UK we are less free because of our gun laws. So it's interesting to get their perspective. One thing I will say though, having met the NRA today, is that my mind has been altered slightly. You know, I probably came from a typical British point of view that the gun laws that we have in the UK are probably about right, and here there's just too many guns. I have had my mind shifted a little bit because it is different here. I don't know how to tangibly explain that, but it just is. It is different. The culture is different, the history is different, and it does go some way to explaining a lot of things in regards gun culture. I never really understood this before, but from what I've seen in the last 2 days here on this Exploring American Values trip, is that despite what we see of Americans supporting their presidents, actually Americans as a nation of people are very distrusting of their governments and want the least amount of control from government or intervention from government as is possible. And that flows right the way through society from a lot of different things, and to gun laws as well. The NRA believes, for example, that it is up to each individual to protect themselves, first of all, before the government can do that. And once you kind of know the context of how people here and how this country actually came about, it does make you think a little bit. But still, you just cannot get away from the fact that the UK is a place, for example, where we are from, where I am from, that is far safer as a result of gun control. So yeah, it was very interesting. It was really actually a privilege to go and speak to those guys today. It is always better to open a dialogue with people who you either do not understand or disagree with. I think in my case it was probably somewhere in between those 2 points of not understanding and not agreeing with them. At the end of the day, America is not my country. It's not my place to judge anybody, but I have a curious mind. Tomorrow we're moving on to a new city, and it should be a new adventure. I'm looking forward to it. I actually need to get this room packed tonight. I will see you guys again tomorrow.